I do remember when I started drawing, that was as soon as I could hold a pencil. And I grew up in Japan, I was, you know, like comics, anime, super big there, so like any other kid, that's kind of where I got my start. I think every kid just kind of like takes to a certain thing, and I took to anime and I took to comics really early on. It's something that I was always doing, but I didn't take classes or anything. It was just something I was doing in my own free time, but that was the only thing that I was doing in my free time. So just drawing my little sketchbooks. I'm a product of my time. Eventually I found the internet, and that's how I started like putting my stuff up there and talking to other artists like in the States, and yeah, like building somewhat of an online presence before I made my way over here. That's that was probably actually my pivotal moment, was when I started realizing that, hey, you know, there are other people like me, and that's, you know, this is a thing that I could do. And for the longest time, I mean, that was always my passion, but I didn't know if I could quite turn it into a career. But eventually, you know, the signs become pretty clear. And I grew up in Japan. My mom is Japanese, but my dad is American. So I always figured for college I would eventually make my way to the States. So I did that. I started looking at art schools or art universities, you know, in this country. And I found the Savannah College of Art and Design. So that's where I went at 18, and I've been in the States ever since. And just by some crazy stroke of luck, I've been able to make it as an artist so far, so haven't really turned back. It's just kind of what I've been doing. I went to school in Georgia, and my first internship and then job right after was in North Carolina, so generally in the South. But I had a bunch of friends at the time who moved out, like a lot of people my age group, to Portland. So I kind of, you know, like Portland seemed like a really cool place, and I wanted to be close to my friends. So I started looking at jobs in the general Oregon area, and how I ended up in Eugene was completely by accident. I started freelancing at the time for a lot of independent game studios, and kind of realized that that was a really legitimate field to go into. So through a push button, I got a job with Disney Interactive here in Eugene. Working for Disney Interactive was great. I loved Eugene, and so it worked out, and I kind of stuck around since, and that was 4 years ago now. So the theme is really interesting, because for me, urban jungle kind of has like this scary, predatory feeling to it, and it's not what I associate with Eugene at all. I mean, Eugene is definitely a city, and it's beautiful, and I love it. So if I were to kind of like apply that theme to Eugene, I was thinking more of like, you know, the beautiful northwestern forests that we have, like the really lush green wildlife. And like the great thing about Eugene that, you know, is so different from like Tokyo or like New York, or like Manhattan, is that like the natural side kind of works itself into the city, or the city itself kind of like integrates into nature, and I love that. So I kind of like took that idea like to the extreme. I wanted to like do a, you know, beautiful Pacific Northwest forest with like city elements in it. But I wanted to make sure that it was inviting and kind of like cute and pleasant in the way that I kind of feel Eugene is. The most appealing thing was it being a local project, which sounds super sappy, but it's true. Like Disney Interactive, Rock You, they're all companies from elsewhere that have a studio here. So this might not be the case for all of my coworkers, but I personally didn't feel all that tapped into like the local art scene. And that's something that I want to change, both for me and for, I guess, for Eugene as a whole. I think, you know, like I would like to get to know more local artists, you know, like more local, specifically like game artists. I think that would be really cool. And one thing that I hear a lot recently is that the game scene in Eugene is really vibrant, but a lot of people don't really know about it.